I was in the wrong meeting. You're in, right? Yeah.
You might have to go. I had to go out and come back in, so it might be something.
Well, it could have been I was in the wrong link, which would be pretty dopey on my part, but that's possibly what happened.
Mr. Hargrave,
Yes,
are you able to hear me?
I am able to hear you fine. And
All
is
right, great.
this Nicole I'm speaking with?
Yes, this is.
Okay, I apologize. I'm sure it was me who messed up, but but anyway, I have you now. So you can you see my screen or see me?
I can.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, and thank you for joining me, and I'm sorry about that confusion, and thanks for being persistent here. So what I'm about to do is let me share my screen with you, so you see what I see. And let me apologize. This is sort of a new venture for us, doing it this
Okay.
way. So
Okay.
we're gonna have little bumps in the road, but hopefully we can bear with it, and we will wind up getting this working. So you should see a screen. Why should I get a real estate license?
Yes.
Terrific. So far so good. Let's see. We can go from there. So I guess before we start, and you're the only one on this, we have a number of people joining us this evening. So let me ask just a couple questions. Are you leaning towards getting a real estate license, or are you just curious at this point what's involved in it?
I'm leaning towards getting a real estate license.
Good.
I've been actively searching since the beginning of the year.
Good. And are you working during the day now, or in the evening, or at all?
Yes. My schedule is currently 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay. Well, then we'll talk about the differences of how you go to school. But let's go through a couple things. I'm going to go through since it's just you, anytime you have a question, just say it and I'll stop and try to answer your questions along the way. All right.
Okay, great.
So the first question is, why should I get a real estate license? And there's a number of reasons for that. So as a real estate agent, you control when you work rather than being on a schedule. For instance, you just told me what your schedule was. Well, as a real estate agent, you make your own schedule. It doesn't mean that you don't work a lot. It just means that you decide when it works best for you. For anyone who's ever had a job where they have to travel distances overnight, none of that happens in real estate. It's all local. It's all within driving distance, because that's the territory you know. Another thing about it, you get to help people and they pay you for it, which is the part that most real estate agents like. There is a potential for unlimited income. You get to meet interesting people and you see interesting homes, and it's your business that you own. Instead of working for somebody else, you're working for your own self, and you decide when you work and when you don't work. So as far as being a real estate agent, this article, this link up here, and I'm going to send you these notes. I'm going to send it to you in a PDF format. But this real estate agents, this is an overview, and it's from a U.S. News and World Report ranking of jobs. And if you look down over here, you'll see that the salary is, it ranks 5.4 on their scale. Job market, it's 8. Future growth, it's 2. Stress, 6. Work balance. If you read the whole article, it would explain what all those things mean. But it's the number 4 best sales and marketing job. It's 16 when it comes to highest paying job without a degree. And it's the best job with and number 24 is best jobs without a college degree. So when I send this to you, you'll be able to click on this link and read the whole article yourself. So what are the legal requirements to be a real estate agent? You have to be 18 years of age. I assume that you're that old, right?
Yes, I am.
All right. So you have to have a high school diploma or an equivalency. You need to be a U.S. citizen or have legal residency in the United States. In addition, the Real Estate Commission must be satisfied as to the applicant's honesty, trustworthiness, character, and integrity. So what that is essentially saying, if you've had an arrest record, and I certainly am not assuming one way or the other whether you have or haven't, it just simply says if you have, you can still get a license if you've been arrested. If it's been long enough, usually 5 years, you've not had any issues since then, and it's not a crime involving fraud or theft of money. And the employee broker will allow for you to do it. The reason for that is we're in people's houses, we handle people's money at times. So the Real Estate Commission is particular about who they allow to have a real estate license. But in most cases, anyone can get a real estate license, even if you've been arrested in the past. So how do you obtain a license would be the question. So let me kind of go through that. So you have to take a 75-hour course. There are options of how you take it. For you, since you work during the day, you would probably either take it a Monday and Wednesday or Tuesday and Thursday evenings. It takes about 10 weeks to complete it when you do it that way, because it's still going to add up to the 75 hours. There is an all-day Saturday class, and it's 10 weeks. So when you go in the evening, most of the classes run from from 6 to 10 or 5:30 to 9:30. There are a number of real estate schools in the area. You'd have to check with which real estate school. The job that you have now, is there any available? Well, let me stop and ask, what town is your job located in?
I currently work in Lawrenceville, New Jersey.
Okay. So one of the things you might want to consider is that there may be a school up there. Now, if the school starts at 6, if you're in Lawrenceville, you'd have to get to the school and you'd still be a little bit late. The further away the school is, the later you're going to be. So that may be an issue. Is there any way that you can temporarily rearrange your hours, that you get out a little bit earlier, start a little bit earlier, and get out a little bit earlier?
I will have to contact my supervisor to see if that's a possibility.
Okay. Do you work Saturdays also?
I do. I work Saturdays.
Okay. Well, one way or the other, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to figure out how to get these hours in. I hate to see you use 2 hours of 2 weeks of your vacation to take a class, but that's also one way to do it. But let's put that in the back corner for now. So once you finish the class, you're going to take a state-run test. It's from a company called PSI. There will be 110 questions. You need to get 77 of them right. It gives you a score of 70. What you really don't want to know is what your score is, because if you do, that means you didn't get 77 right. They'll tell you how many you got right only if you don't get to 77. So let's put it this way. If you get more than 77, I always just assume they got them all right. If you get less, they'll tell you what you got. So in a case like that, Nicole, what they do is they don't tell you which ones you got right or wrong, but they tell you in categories, like whether you got 8 out of 10 right in one category, and maybe another category you only got 6 out of 12 right. So you could go back and study that particular topic a little bit more. But let's not worry about having to retake the test. You can take it as many times as you have to. You have 1 year to pass the test. Some people pass it the first time. Some people take it multiple times. It really has no bearing on whether you'll be successful or not. You just have to pass it. That's the bottom line. So once you pass the test, or in the same time period, you're going to get your fingerprints done. Have you ever had your fingerprints done for a job or anything?
Yes.
Well, then you're familiar with the process. It's there's a company in the company that does it. They have a testing place or fingerprinting place in Cherry Hill. There's one in Newark. There's a couple. Vineland, I think, has one. Where do you actually live?
I live in Trenton.
Trenton. Okay, so there's probably one a little bit closer up there for you that might work. But
it's in Ewing.
Yeah, you need to get it done. So once you've been fingerprinted and passed the state exam, you pay a licensing fee. It's $160. It's for your initial license application, and your license until the end of June in 2021. And at that point, you would renew your license for July 1st, and it's always on an odd year. So it'd be 2019, 2021, 2023. But for now, your initial license fee would cover that. So what's important about choosing a real estate school? Well, I don't know that I put it on here, but let me just say the proximity to where you live or work would be important for you. All the schools are licensed by the Real Estate Commission. All the instructors have a license to teach, but there are a few things to consider. Your cost is somewhere between $350 and $400, depending what school you go to. And occasionally you're going to find a special online. I think Groupon's occasionally has specials. You might be able to find it for as low as $300, but somewhere in that range. Generally, though, it's $350 to $400. When is the class scheduled? So for you, if you decided you want to move forward with this, I would do a search in a Google search for real estate schools in your area. We're in Marlton, New Jersey, so there's some schools down here I could recommend, and one in particular. But considering you live in Trenton, you might want to look somewhere up there. How far is Trenton from Princeton? Is it very far?
20 minutes.
20 minutes? Well, there's a school. I know there's a school in Princeton also. So what I would do, Nicole, is I would do a Google search for New Jersey real estate schools, and you'll see a whole list of them. Once you find the list of them, there'll be links to it. You just click on a link and you look at their schedule. Do they offer an all-day Saturday class? Do they, if it's possible for you to get off on Saturday, do they offer a class that might, fit your schedule, or can you make your schedule fit within that? I'd also tell you how much it is and how to register. So again, where you take it. What's the average class size? There are some schools where the classes could be as many as 35, 45 people in it. And then there are other schools where the class sizes average a little bit less, maybe 20, maybe 10 to 20 people in it. If you had an option with this, the smaller the class size, sometimes it's easier to get individual attention, but it might be something you look into or ask about when you're trying to decide on what school is. Another question you want to have, when you finish the real estate class itself, you're going to take an exam for the course. And then you're going to take this PSI exam. I would ask, if you don't pass the course exam, what's the school policy? Can you retake it? Do you have to come back? Do you have to pay any money? I'm going to make sure that they're not going to charge you to take the class all over again if you don't pass it. Most of them don't, but some of them do. So just ask that question, all right? Let's assume you're going to pass it, but if you don't, that's a question you might want to ask. You might want to check the online ratings for the school, see if other people that have taken it, what they thought about the school. So these are just some basic questions you can ask about it. As I said, I will send this to you so you'll be able to take a look at these. So how do you choose a real estate company? You're going to ask a lot of questions. Remember, you're interviewing them. So typically, Nicole, you're probably used to talking to somebody and you're wondering, would they hire me? What do I say to make a good impression? In real estate, it's kind of just the opposite. You think you might be interviewing for a job, but really you're interviewing the company. Is this the place I want to work? So what kind of questions we ask? What training do they offer? I should tell you that going to real estate school, they will not teach you about selling real estate. They won't talk to you about how to find buyers and sellers. There's nothing on how to list a house or how to sell a house. It's simply on how to pass a course that has a lot of vocabulary in it, a little bit of math in it, and has some laws that you have to be aware of. What you learn about being a real estate agent actually happens once you get out of real estate school. So you're going to ask, what kind of training do they offer? Is there a cost for you to take that training? Do they have a mentoring program? Is the training online, or is it in person, or is it both? You want to ask how you get compensated. That's commission split. Are there any transaction fees? So let me kind of talk a little bit about compensation. Are you aware now of how real estate agents get paid?
Yes.
Okay, so you know that we get paid on commission. You sell a house and your company gets compensation, and they split it with you. So you're going to ask what the splits are. Now, it's important what the splits are but it's not as important as the training, because if you don't sell any houses, you're not, it doesn't matter what your commission split is. So I'm not saying it's not something you shouldn't, I am saying it's something you should ask about, but bear in mind, it's training should be your number one question. Another question, am I required to answer the phones, do open houses or anything else? Some companies will hire you, but then they require you to work a couple days a week answering the phones. In the past, that used to be a way for real estate agents to find business. Somebody drives by a property, they come in, they see it, they write the phone number down, they go home and they call a real estate office. That was how it used to be done. That's not how it's done anymore. Nowadays, everybody has apps on their phone and they can go online, they find everything they need about the house. So essentially, when you do what they call floor time, it's you giving up 3 or 4 hours of your time a few days a week to answer the phones. A question you might want to ask is, does your office share profits? What is the company's market share? Are there desk fees? Desk fees are simply, if you want to use this desk, we charge, they may say we charge X amount of dollars a month to use that desk. So these are kind of questions you might ask. Now, let me talk to you about market share a little bit. I work for a company, Keller Williams. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. It should have, when you clicked on that, should have given you information about it. But
Yes.
Keller Williams is a recognizable name. You say Keller Williams, most people have heard of it. You say Berkshire Hathaway, most people. Remax, most people have heard of it. So we as real estate companies could argue who has a higher share. What I would be concerned about if I were you is not so much who has exactly the highest, but you don't want to work for a company that nobody heard of. So if it's ABC Real Estate Company, nobody heard of them, not only would you have to sell yourself, you have to sell your real estate company also. When you work for one of the major brands, there's usually more availability of training, there is name recognition. So really what you're doing now is selling your own self, which is important because people buy people before they buy the products and services. So what I'm saying is you want to make sure that the company you look at does have what we would say market share. They're a recognizable company in that area. Would a real estate company hire me? So most expenses of being a real estate agent fall on you, the agent, because you're an independent contractor, not an employee. Your job now, I assume they pay you when you go to work and for the hours you work. As a real estate agent, you only get paid if you sell something. So there's a little financial risk to a brokerage to hire you. There might be some cost involved, but it's not an extremely high amount. So they're a little, we as real estate companies are a little bit more open to taking a chance on somebody. There are some expenses a broker is responsible for, and they are responsible to supervise you since you'll be acting on the behalf of the broker. So a broker will not hire an agent they can't trust to follow the rules of the real estate commission. So generally speaking, we will hire anyone who is of good character and willing to do what's necessary. Considering the information expressed above, the answer is probably yes. Would a broker hire you? A broker will likely hire you if you agree to follow the rules, regulations, and policies of the brokerage. The short answer is agents come in all sizes, colors, nationalities, and it's very difficult to judge whether someone will be successful from looking at them. Most brokers will take a chance on anyone with a license. So let me kind of explain that a little bit more. I've been doing this for over 25 years. I've been to countless award ceremonies, and I can simply tell you, I've seen people walk up to get awards that you just shake your head as how in the world could that person be a top agent from the way they look. Another way to put this is I've seen well-dressed, well-spoken, well-educated people can't sell real estate to save their life. And I've seen people when trust to sell lemonade on a corner can do very well. So it's not something that we can look at and judge will somebody be successful or not. It comes from within, not from without. And that's why most brokers, me personally, anyone who's willing and says that they're capable and we're willing to work and do this job, we'll give them the opportunity. The system will weed out the people who should not be real estate agents. So when you are talking with real estate companies, remember you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. So here's a question that probably would pertain to you. Well, part-time or full-time? You have a full-time job now, so you would probably be thinking about doing this in what we might call transitional stage. So it's very important for an agent. It's very difficult for a prospective agent to quit their full-time job and become a real estate agent. I assume, Nicole, that you work because you need the money, right?
Yeah.
Right? You're not just doing it for the fun of it. So becoming a real estate agent, there's a learning curve between being a newly licensed agent. And remember, as I mentioned to you, in real estate school, they're not going to teach you how to sell real estate, just to pass that exam. So there's going to be a time that you're going to have to learn how to be a real estate agent. A large contributing factor to why agents don't succeed is because they don't have the financial resources to deal with the financial obligations while they're learning the business and before they finally earn a commission. Another way of putting that is the day you get your real estate license, you're not going to know a whole lot about selling real estate. They'll take time for you to learn how to be a real estate agent. Also, if somebody said, hey, can you start showing me houses? We might want to, but they're not going to buy the first house. In most cases, you show them. And
Right.
even if they did, you have to negotiate a contract. You have to put together offers. You have to show there's home inspections. So it's about a 60-day period from the time that the buyer and seller agree on the price of the house, that you actually go to settlement. So you put that all together, it could be 3 or 4 months at best before you actually get paid as a real estate agent. So now let's go back to your situation. You quit your day job. Unless you have the money to live on for 3 or 4 months without earning any new money, it's probably advantageous to transition from being having another job to being a full-time real estate agent. And there's really no requirement that you become a full-time real estate agent. Many brokers will hire part-time agents, what we call dual career agents. So if I were you, if you get a real estate license, you decide to keep your job that you have now for a while you transition over to full-time, you refer to yourself as a dual career rather than a part-time agent. And I'll tell you why. If somebody's going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and put their trust in you to help them do that, they're not going to want to hear you do it part-time. So if the topic comes up, you just say, I have dual careers. I have 2 jobs. You may eventually decide to give up on your day job if you're making enough money in real estate, or you can continue both. That's something that you can cross, a bridge you can cross later. It is a longer period of time to learn how to do this business if you have a job outside of real estate, because a lot of training happens during the day. Did you say you're off on Mondays? Did I recall that?
Yes, I am off on Mondays.
Yeah, so you have Mondays. So some of the training sessions that happen, you could take on Mondays if an office is offering that. There are online training, so there's options there also. It's just going to take a little bit longer for you to transition into being full-time. I should tell you that, as I said, I've been doing this over 25 years, but I owned a construction company when I got my real estate license, and it took me 4 years to transition from running a construction company to just doing real estate full-time. So there's time for you to do that transition. So what are some common characteristics of real estate agents? As I said before, they come in all shapes and sizes. But generally, they like people. They like helping people. They're highly motivated. They have a big why they want to succeed. And what I mean by that, you have to be driven to do this because you're going to have a lot of setbacks. But you have to keep your mind why you're doing this. What's the objective? They can handle rejection, keep moving forward. Nobody likes rejection. Let me make that clear. But some of us can accept it and then move on. Some people just can't do it. It just too many no's. It just wears on them, and they decide, I don't want to do this anymore. Most real estate agents are self-starters. They do what's necessary without being told. So let me, give you an example. You typically start at 10 o'clock, so you have to plan on being there at 10 o'clock. And if you don't show up enough times, what's going to happen is they're going to tell you not to come anymore. As a real estate agent, you make your own hours. So there's nobody going to tell you that you have to be here at a certain time, or you have to do this, or you have to do that. Some people can still do it. Some people can get out of bed in the morning, even when they don't have to go to work, because they just know it's something they have to do. Other people are not real good at self-directing. They may be great at following, instructions and being certain places at a certain time, but that's not the life of a real estate agent. A real estate agent, you make your own hours, you work when you want. Real estate agents generally have an outgoing personality, and what I mean by that is it's not, you don't have to be the life of the party, but you also can't be the person who, I really don't want to talk to anyone. I want to hide in the corner, hope nobody talks to me. You have to be a person who's comfortable saying hello and introducing yourself to people. Real estate agents are usually service minded. They like helping people. They're part of the most good real estate agents. When you ask them what do they like about it, they like the money, but they also kind of like meeting people. They like helping people. It's all part of the whole thing. Now, as I told you before, there are exceptions to all of these. And since I don't know you, I'm not saying you have or don't have any of these characteristics. And there are certainly more characteristics to being successful. But these are generally, what if you took all successful real estate agents, most of them are self-starters. Most of them are highly motivated. Most of them like helping people. But there's exceptions to all that. So what does it cost to activate your license? So you have to pass your final exam in your real estate course, and then you have to pass the state exam. That costs you $45 to take it. And as I mentioned before, you can take it as many times as you have to. You only need to pass it once, but there's a certain percentage of people who don't pass it the first time, and they can take it a second time, a third time, or even more than that. I hope for your sake you pass it the first time, just get it out of the way. But don't get discouraged. It doesn't mean you're going to be a good agent or a bad agent just because you have to take it more than once. As I said, you get your fingerprints done. That costs $65, and then your initial license is $160. So that's kind of your initial licensing setup, the cost of getting it. So what are your chances of being successful? You see that rock that guy's pushing up the hill?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of use that as a illustration of how difficult this is. Most people don't make it. Pushing that rock up, it's hard, it's heavy, and I would say that a large majority of people give up before they get it there, and it kind of rolls over and squishes them. In real estate, you have to keep pushing it up the hill, but the good news is once you get it to the top and it starts rolling down the other side, there's a momentum that your real estate career takes, that you've helped people. And somebody might say, hey, call my friend Nicole. She helped me sell my house. Or Nicole, she did a great job helping me find a house. And there's a word of mouth. And then it almost like people start calling you instead of you having to call them. But a lot of people give up before they get that rock to the top of the hill. We at Keller Williams, let me just say a little bit about Keller Williams. We have great training. We have mentors. We have coaching. We have a lot to help you get it there, but we can only give you the tools and show you how to use them. You're still going to be doing the heavy lifting. That's why there are so many places that teach real estate classes, because many people get into business and just don't make it. It's pushing through and making it where there's a certain amount of people will and most people won't. So how do real estate agents get paid? I asked you about this. I'll just briefly say what happens is, if somebody lists their house for sale and it sells for $200,000 and there's a 6% commission, which isn't a rule that it's 6%. It's kind of a standard that most real estate agents like to get, but commissions are always negotiable. You'll find that out in real estate school. But let's just say this seller agreed to pay 6%. So 6% of $200,000 is 12%. It's $12,000. Generally, that money is split between the two real estate companies. So half of it, 3% goes to the listing company and 3% goes to the company who brought the buyer. So they each get $6,000. So then an agent will take that 6%, that $6,000 back to the real estate company, and then they're on a split. As a new agent, a lot of companies start agents at 50%. And then it's any 50, 52, 56, whatever, all the way up to 80% for a top producing agent. So your split might be somewhere between $3,000 and $4,800 on that sale of that house. And again, it used to be typically 3%, 50-50 split for new agents and a broker. partly because of Keller Williams and partly because the industry has to stay up with it. Some of that is changing where, excuse me, some of that is changing where the money is, might be 60%. Keller Williams actually pays their agents a minimum of 70%. So let's just say in this case, you brought 6,000 back, there would be 70% of that would be $4,800. I mean, $4,200 would go to you, and the other 1,800 would go to the office. So that's, but each company runs a little bit different. I should also tell you that Keller Williams is a franchise, as is Remax, Berkshire Hathaway, Long and Foster isn't, or Weichert's not, but they charge what amounts to an agent resource fee. What I'm trying to tell you is that a lot of companies now charge a percentage off the gross commission before the split happens. And I'll explain that to you in more detail, or the company work for when the time comes. Just be aware that typically there's a percentage goes directly to the franchisor, and then the split is based on what's left. So how much can real estate agents earn? Your results will vary, and the chart below again is just an an idea. This is that same article from U.S. News and World Report I talked about. They talk about this graph. Now, you can see where the medium, that's for all real estate agents, is 40, 45, 46,000. For the top 75%, it's 71. Let me put it to you this way. There's many agents don't make anything, and there are some, but not many, who make over $1 million a year. Where you're going to fall in that would be like me trying to tell you how deep a hole is without knowing what hole you're talking about or how long a rope is. It can vary. This is just a guideline here that I want you to look at. I've got the question is asked of me all the time. Well, what's an average agent make in the first year? It's impossible for me to say what it is, but the potential to make a decent living is there. What I would ask, here's the way I would put it to you. We're going to ask you, if you were to join Keller Williams, what your goal is in the first year. And the goal is yours, not ours. And we really wanted to look at it as a target for you. As long as you're shooting at a target, there's a chance you're going to hit it. What your target is, there's no chance you're going to hit it. Whether you reach it or not, important thing is you're moving towards that. So what I would say to you, and this is what a job as a real estate agent can be, that whatever you make the first year, you have to put it in your mind, but think about whatever it is. How would your life change if you made that much more money in the next 12 months? Might not change a whole lot. I don't know what you're thinking, but it might change some. Now think about, what if you made 10 times that? And 5 years from now, you were making 10 times what you made the first year. How would your life be then? What could happen? How could it affect you? How could you help the people around you? What could you do with it? As a real estate agent, you're only 5 years away from wherever you want to be. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to make it. I'm just simply saying there is a plan to get there. If you want to get there, there's a pathway for you to do it. So it's just a matter how big your dreams are as to how far you can go. So fully licensed or referral agent. Do you know the difference between a fully licensed agent and a referral agent?
No, not really.
Well, let me kind of do this. So you have a job now, and you work from 10 to 6, 5 or 6 days a week. What happens, you may go to real estate school and then decide, what, right now I just don't have enough time to be a fully licensed real estate agent, and I can't afford the cost of being a licensed agent, fully licensed. You could place your license in a referral company. The referral company, it's only about $125 a year to keep your license there. Now, what can you do with that? If you had a friend or family member looking to buy a house, you could call up a licensed real estate agent and get a referral fee for referring a friend or family member. If you personally were to buy or sell a house, you could refer yourself, so you could get a percentage of the commission back as a referral agent. What you can't do as a referral agent, you can't show houses, you can't list houses, you can't go into the multiple listing service and see what houses are worth. But you do have a license, and you can keep it in a referral company for forever, actually. You'll never have to go to school or take any CE credits. But if during a period of time that you decide, hey, circumstances change and I want to now be fully licensed, you can then just transfer back to a company without having to go back to real estate school. So there's some pluses and minuses. If you go to real estate school and now's not the time to get a full license, a referral license might be the best way to do that. All right. Hold on one second here. So some questions. Are there different types of real estate license, such as commercial, residential, industrial, farmland, etc.? The answer is simply no, Nicole. Is when you have a real estate license, it's just a real estate license. You can do any of those things I just said. There's no special license for it. But what will happen is that you'll kind of become trained in an expertise. Is either most agents are residential experts, but you could be industrial, farmland, etc. What's the advantage of residential over the other types? Generally, when you are selling houses for people, it's a relatively quick process compared to selling an apartment building or a mall or something like that. People see a house, they agree on a price, they write a contract, and it might be 60 days, and you get paid. When you do farm and land, it could be years in development before there's actually any money exchange. Same thing for industrial and commercial properties. They usually are much longer transactions. So there's a much longer period of time between paychecks, but the paychecks are normally much higher in that. It's really, I would say, probably 90% of real estate agents in the state are specialized in residential, but you have a license to do any of those things. So where can you sell in New Jersey? Once you have a license, you can sell anywhere you want. I shouldn't say you want. You're allowed to sell anywhere in the state of New Jersey. It's most real estate's local. Did you grow up in the Trenton area?
I did.
Right. So I didn't. I grew up further south here. I know South Jersey. You know the area around Trenton a little bit more than I do. So if a buyer was looking for a house and they were looking up where you live, they would certainly you would have more area expertise than I would. If it was South Jersey, I would have more area expertise. That's an advantage for me in South Jersey, an advantage for you in the Trenton area. So what I'm saying is that it's practical to work around where you already live and already know. For instance, how long does it take to get to Cape May from where you live? Probably, an hour and a half, 2 hours?
Yeah, approximately that.
Right. So suppose you had a buyer said, hey, I'm looking for a house in Cape May. You really don't want to drive 2 hours there, show a couple houses, they don't like it, and then drive 2 hours back just having shown a couple houses. It's just not a practical thing to do. So even though you have a license to do it, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So you're probably going to be in an area that, could be 15 or 20 miles around where you already know. And most of your business is going to be around whatever office you join. It's a little bit complicated as to why that is. But if you join an office in Trenton, you'll be probably selling a lot of houses in the Trenton area. If you join an office in Cape May, suppose you live down there, you'd be selling a lot of houses around there. So that's one of the things you're going to look for. But you have a license to sell anywhere. So I would normally recommend this school. It's called the Garden State Real Estate Academy. It's in Cherry Hill. It's right off 295. It's probably not as practical for you to go there as it would be for you to go to a place closer to where you live. When I send this to you, there'll be a link for that school. Their classes are $339 at the moment. They do have evening classes, but I think they start at 6 or 6 to 10. And they could be Monday, Wednesday, or they could be Tuesday, Thursday. But I would check out some schools up by you also.
Okay.
And that's, hold on a second here. I'm sorry. Let me just go back to where we are here. Let me get out of this screen if I can. So, well, anyway, we'll just leave it here. You still can see me and I can hear you. So what kind of questions can I answer for you that I might not have answered?
Actually, all my questions were answered throughout the presentation. Um, do you just mind? I was trying to write notes down, and I know you said you were going to send it to me through a PDF file.
I
But
will
would you
send it.
mind?
Yep,
Would you mind explaining once again the difference between a referral agent and the other type of agent?
sure. Um, Hold on one second here. Let's see, now I got you back. So a referral agent, there is no such thing. It's the same license to be a full-time real estate agent or a dual career, or another way to put it, part-time real estate agent. That's a full licensing. The What I didn't explain in detail, which I would have been met in person, is the cost of being a real estate agent on an annual basis. I told you what it costs to get the license, but on an annual basis throughout the year, it might cost you $2,500 to be a real estate agent, whether you're part-time, full-time, whether you're selling houses or not. So you need to sell enough houses that makes that worthwhile expense for you. So some people find that right now financially they can't do it. They don't have the time to do it, but you've already gone to real estate school. So what do you do with your real estate license? In a case like that, you put it in a referral company. You have a real estate license, but in a referral company, the real estate commission does not permit you to go join the multiple listing service. You can't have access to the information that a full-time real estate agent would have, a fully licensed real estate agent would have. You can't show houses to people. You can't talk to them and give them advice on buying and selling houses other than just your own practical advice. But as a referral agent, you could place your license there. You've already passed the exam. So if you're a referral agent, you could refer a friend or a family member or yourself to a licensed real estate agent and say, look, if they buy or sell a house, I want a referral. And it's usually somewhere between 25 and 30% of the total commission. You can get that back for having referred somebody or referred yourself. But you can't actually go out and help somebody buy or sell a house. You can transfer your license back as a fully licensed real estate agent somewhere along that period of time, or you can leave it there forever. As a referral agent, it costs you about let's say $125, $150 a year. And that's really your total cost. It's dues to the referral company. As a fully licensed agent, the cost is about $2,500 a year. So for whatever reason, having a fully licensed right now isn't practical. Rather than having wasted going to real estate school, you place your license in a referral company and it could stay there for forever or a period of time and then transfer back in.
Okay.
Yeah, and that would be, look, I wouldn't necessarily recommend somebody going to school, a real estate school, to become a referral agent, but it's an option if your circumstances change. What you have to keep in mind, Nicole, is that as a working full-time now, the hours you work, you need some time to yourself. You need to be able to, rest, relax. As working as a dual career agent, if you work from 10 to 6 days a week, and then the time you're not working, you're working in real estate, there's no me time left, and after a while that kind of wears on people.
Right.
We have a saying, a mission at Keller Williams, and that is simply for you to have a career worth having, a business worth owning, but still have a life worth living. Another way to put it is it should be about God, family, and then business. Business should fund your life. It should not be your life.
Right.
Now, we're not a religious organization. We're not telling you when you should work and when you shouldn't work. We just want you to be aware that there are, that you do have to have some me time. There are people, I'm one of them, as I said, it took me 4 years to transition from my construction company into just being a full-time real estate agent. Some people do it quicker. Some people, let's suppose you got laid off from your existing job, or your company got bought out or something like that, or you maybe hit the lottery, you have enough money to live on for a year, then you could do it full-time. But in the meantime, if that doesn't happen, you could do it as what we call dual career. It just takes longer for you to develop your real estate career when you're doing it and not doing it full-time, but it's a possibility. So those possibilities are full-time, part-time, or as a referral agent.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else I can answer for you?
No, sir. That's all.
Well, Nicole, what I'm going to do is I'll email you these slides so you can look through them, and the information will be there for you. I appreciate you putting up with this. We're still just on the infancy stage of presenting it this way, but we have little kinks we'll work out along the way. And thanks for hanging in there until we actually got in the same meeting room together. But eventually we'll get a little bit better at it. But thank you for being our first guinea pig. All right.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. And if you have any questions at all, you feel free to give me a call. I'm a licensed real estate instructor, and I actually work for that Garden State Real Estate Academy and Keller Williams Realty. So I've been doing this a long time. I'd be happy to help you if any questions come up along the way. All right?
All right, great. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks again.
Have a great day.
Okay. You too. See you now.